So how do you advise people who are 19 today and want to impact the world like you have?
I always think that the most important thing that entrepreneurs should do is pick something they care about, work on it, but don't actually commit to turning it into a company until it's working. And I think that if you look at the data of like the very best companies that have gotten built, I actually think a tremendous percent of them have been built that way and not from people who decided up front that they wanted to start a company, because you just get locked into some local minimum a lot of the time, a local maximum.
I
Sorry.
totally agree. And just to make this point, how far into Facebook did it actually become a company?
I don't know. I think it became a formal Delaware company when Peter Thiel invested about 6 months in. When we were first talking to Peter about raising money, Dustin and I were very clear with him that we were planning on going back to school. Right? I mean, I started Facebook when I was a sophomore. We took the summer off, right? No classes over the summer. We were working on it. And then, our stated game plan was to go back to school in the fall and continue working on it then, but not like sit in an office and work on it full time. And Peter was just kind of like, all right, sure you are. I guess he knew better than we did.
You think he just believed that you weren't actually going to go back to school?
He must have. I mean, you'd have to ask him. But
yeah. I will. We're interviewing him in this series. I will
there
ask
you go.
that question.
So I think he would probably say that he knew that we were not going to go back to school or believed that he could talk us out of it. But he didn't have to. It was pretty clear that the amount of work was just growing so quickly. But we actually didn't drop out immediately. We told Harvard that we were taking one semester off. And then we told Harvard that we were taking another semester off, and then a year off. And then after that, we kind of decided we weren't going back.
Speaking of Peter, and it's sort of a closing question, what's the best piece of advice he ever gave you?
I think Peter was the person who told me this really pithy quote that in a world that's changing so quickly, the biggest risk you can take is not taking any risk. And I really think that that's true, right? I mean, a lot of people I think that, whenever you get yourself into a position where you have to make some big shift in direction or do something, there are always people are going to point to the downside risks of that decision. And locally, they're maybe right? I mean, for any given decision that you're going to make, there's upside and downside. But in aggregate, if you are stagnant and you don't make those changes, then I think you're guaranteed to fail, right? And not catch up. So to some degree, I think it's really right that over time, the biggest risk that you can take is to not take any risks.
That is a great place to leave it. Thank you very much.
All right.